Hello everybody, my name's Kanamanika, and welcome back to the unboxing, where today, we're weebs again. We're weebs again. Anyways, we're back on the SH Figuarts One Piece grind, because a bunch of things came in at the same time. 3 items came in practically at the same time. So today, we are going to take a nice, long look at a character from a flashback, I think the first time in this line, and potentially the only time. Specifically, we are taking a look at the SH Figuarts Romance Dawn Shanks. It includes a little Monkey D. Luffy statue. We'll get there. But the main event is that we finally have an SH Figuarts Shanks. And that is honestly pretty exciting. Shanks is a really fun character. Stinky little boy who needs a bath. Is always a fun archetype. Anyways, I'm really excited to have a Shanks, and it's nice that it's Shanks with some of the options that this figure has. So, without further ado, let's get into the figure. So at the front, you can obviously see there is a window that allows you to get a nice good look at the figure and a good chunk of the stuff that it comes with. On the window, it says Shanks. Up here in the corner, it says One Piece on a little bit of the cardboard. But here it says Shanks just printed on the plastic and Monkey Luffy Childhood. Then we get some nice art. SH Figuarts, Shanks, Monkey D. Luffy Childhood, a bunch of legalese, the stickers for Toei and Tamashii Nations, and this is a web shop item, apparently. But instead of doing the usual just generic pose art for it, they decided, since it's the two of them, to recreate the one pose, which is just so nice. I love that they did this. It's such a fun little choice. And here in the corner, in the red, we have an image of Shanks doing a cool action pose. Anyways, on this side, we get Shanks, Monkey D. Luffy Childhood, as well as an image of Shanks down here that says the Done, One Piece SHF. On this side, we get a bunch of images of different character faces, a bunch of Shanks' faces, the Luffy statue, and the spare Luffy face that comes with Shanks, Monkey D. Luffy Childhood. On the bottom, you get an image of Shanks on a red background and the name of the figure. On the top, you get the usual map, a cutout for the window in the shape of Luffy's hat, and the SH Figuarts quote. On the back, we have a bunch of usual promotional images. It's what you've come to expect if you have seen any of the other SH Figuarts One Piece items. This is generically what you expect. Promotional images of the faces, him in a generic pose, simple style heroic action. Down here is the legalese. So, without further ado, I'm realizing I forgot to grab a plastic bag before this. I'll have to do that later, but without further ado, let's open this up. There you go. Just cut the side and open it up, and ooh, I feel something. Let's pull it all out. Instructions are listed on the inside insert, whatever. Anyways, first off, clearly wanting to make its appearance known. Here's everything in the package, by the way. First off, wanting to make itself known is this little baggie, which includes a big first for the SH Figuarts One Piece line. Well, kind of. Ace had it, but Ace was a special item, for all I can tell. There we go. Got a little hole into the baggie, so now I can open it up. And that big first is that rather than doing plastic capes like they've been doing this entire fucking time, 'tis a soft goods cape with a wire in it. It feels very nice. It's a very nice fabric, actually. There's a wire in the collar as well. That's very nice. So yeah, it can be posed if you so choose. I'll get this onto him here in a second. It is removable. There's a peg right here that I imagine goes into his back. Otherwise, it's a fairly plain black cloak, but that is how he's supposed to look. So I can't really fault it for that, I guess. Anyways, yeah, let's open the rest of it, though, so that we can actually get this cape on the Shanks. Anyways, first off, let's look at hands. So, there is 6 hands total. So first off, we have this specific gripper with a thumb slightly upward. Fairly basic hand. It's got some nice fingernail sculpting. On this side is, it's a hand. It's got its thumb up, and I imagine that's because I think this hand is probably meant to... It fucking fell. Come on, give me a second. This is meant to hold the spoon. Yeah. First off, the spoon is actually quite well detailed. The, not necessarily in sculpt, it's a fairly basic sculpt. It's got the handle, it's got the spoon head, the usual, but it's got a lot of decent paint here with the brown and the little silver line between the two little brown bits and the little bolts painted as well. It looks quite nice. It's a very nice spoon, and you can just simply slide it into his hand. Now he's ready to eat, because that recreates a scene from the Romance Dawn flashback. Anyways, next up for hands, he's got some fists on him, but here we have a couple of broad little, weird little groping hands or something. I don't know. I shouldn't say that when he comes to the child. Anyways, you can see they're in like a grappler stance. I imagine it's to help with sword poses or whatever. You get one for the left, one for the right. It's got some very nice detailing on the inside. It's slightly wrinkled and as you would expect a hand to be, and it looks very nice. It's not coming through super well on the exposed lighting, but it's there, and it looks very nice. Next up, I imagine we have another set of grippers, this time for the swords, which we will get to. Another pair of grippers. There's a nice slot in there, but where the slot isn't there, it's still nicely sculpted. Not really painted, but, they're basic hands. Finally, to go with the special pose that this figure's kind of designed for, come on. We have this hand, which allows him to place his hand on the Luffy hat. Once again, very nicely done. There's only one of these, but I guess that makes sense, given the circumstance. But, yeah, speaking of circumstance, since this is the Romance Dawn version, they decided to give you options. Either he can have two arms like he comes with out of the box, or he can have his singular arm. It's nice and tied up, and it looks like it does in the series, and you can see it's nice and jagged on the lower bit, but here on the upper bit, it's just nice and tied up, and it connects via a ball joint, which I've heard is a bit tight, so I've got some stuff to help with that. I'm not going to do that on video right now. Yeah, this is very nicely sculpted. I like the way that the clothes bunch up really interestingly and just very logically for how this should look. It looks very nice. And finally, since, again, this is a Romance Dawn Shanks, he includes an alternate head that allows him to wear the included straw hat. It's somewhat similar to the head on both, I think it's Ace and Sabo, both of their hatted heads. It, rather than connecting similarly to Luffy's, it connects more like this, which is, from what I've seen, in general, better way of designing the head. It's a lot less loose, having it be a full skull cap, essentially. And yeah, you'll essentially just plonk the faces on. Speaking of faces, let's start off with the Luffy face. It seems similar to the one that came with Ace, but this is specifically meant to be the Luffy face the face that Luffy makes on his wanted poster, which makes a lot of sense. The next time Shanks sees Luffy is on his wanted poster after this. So yeah, it looks very accurate. I've got a little bit of scuffage on mine, I think, but that's fine. I can probably rub that out. Yeah, it's another Luffy face. Luffy face T, apparently. That's pretty crazy. I wonder if they'll ever stop making Luffy faces, if they run out of choices. Anyways, onwards to Shanks' faces. He has a cheeky little tongue-out face, which is nice and fun. Very fitting for Shanks, especially this early Romance Dawn Shanks. He's a very goofy guy sometimes. And they did the scar very nicely. I kind of wish it was a little sculpted, but it works fine like this. Everything's painted on very well. The mouth is sculpted very nicely and doesn't seem too out of it with the 2D details of everything else. And yeah, it just in general looks nice. Anyways, on to another goofy face. Here he is kind of laughing in, like he does in the bar during Romance Dawn. Once again, very nice, very expressive. Somewhat similar to the tongue face, but a lot more wide-eyed and just generally excited. Once again, this is meant to go for a specific Romance Dawn scene, so I'm appreciative that they included it. However, this Shanks isn't just happy. He includes like a smile off the bat. He also just works as a Shanks that you can include in other looks. So he's got a stern face for whenever he needs to use his big attacks. He's ready to fight. This looks fairly nice. The lips might be painted a little bit thickly, but it's fine. It works. It gets the expression across, and he's got his big scar. It looks very nice, and I like the way the stubble is done as well. But finally, again, since this is Romance Dawn, he's got his hockey face. He's got... Sorry for spoilers if you haven't gotten that far, but this is his hockey face whenever he stares down that big fish. It's looking to the side because that's how it looks in the series, and it looks nice looking that way. He's got like a little bit of like a vein bulging out. His eyebrows are stern. His eyes are dilated. And once again, just looks very nice. Finally, for his accessories, which is going to require me to lift him a little bit up, I'll get them both out, and then I'll plonk him back down, probably. Come on. He has his big old sword. It's very long. Here's Izuku Midoriya for scale, I guess. For some reason, I keep grabbing him. It's almost the size of a whole figure, which is crazy. Nice and long, and it fits very well. I imagine you just gotta squeeze it around. It's sculpted very nicely. The green is also painted nice, and the gold also doesn't overspray onto it too much. And then the sword has its nice dual tonage. That always looks very good on these SH Figuarts One Piece characters. The swords, like we saw with Zoro previously. And then obviously, he comes with it sheathed. It doesn't plug it into the side. What you gotta do from what I've seen is I think you unplug the cap. There we go, yeah. You unplug the cap and then plug it into his side, which I will likely do. You want to be able to have it removed so that, like, for when he's more chill, it's removed. But I'll probably keep him in a more stock, standard, sort of cloaked pose. But anyways, on to the two figures, I guess, and sort of the final accessory. The somewhat memed on Luffy. This is actually very dense. Again, it's essentially just like a figurine statue sort of thing. Of Luffy in his Romance Dawn look. Very nice, very dense, very well painted, and it looks nice. Well, except for the straw hat. It's removable. As you can see, is very bald. Oh yeah, that is a different straw hat mold. This won't go on a Luffy, unfortunately. Other than this one, I don't think. I don't think this will fit onto your Romance Dawn Luffy, which is a bit unfortunate because I kind of wish that you could use this since it is a unique straw hat mold as well, even outside of just the internal structure. It doesn't have the scarring from Buggy. And I imagine some people might want that look for very specific shots, and I don't think this will work necessarily, unfortunately, but that's fine. I'll probably leave it like this because I like my Shanks with one arm, so it can be a more mixed-use Shanks if I need to. But, again, nice option. Very nice little accessory. Does kind of drive up the price, but that's fine. I like it. And it's very nicely painted, especially the anchor shirt. Very nice, very clean. But finally, it's Shanks time. And, yeah, he looks like a little rat. He's very much in his thinner look. Since this is Romance Dawn, he does kind of buff up post-time skip. And even post-Romance Dawn, when we see him in, like, Marineford, he does seem buffer, from what I remember. But this is a very iconic Shanks look. The neck seems a tad long, and the shoulders seem a bit thin, but that's in part so that you can make this work. He's got a little tab there on his back, and you just plug it in, and then you're just going to want to wrap it around him. And boom, you have your caped Shanks. I don't know if he ever has two arms and the cape, but I mean, you can make it that way. I mean, he probably does in Romance Dawn. I don't remember. It's been a hot second since I read it. I should probably go back. But yeah, I'm going to take that off for a second so I can pose him around. I don't want to I gotta be careful with the cape because the thing with this tab is I don't want to tear it off. There we go. Kind of got to wiggle it out just in case. I imagine it's fine, but yeah, the face. This is quintessential Shanks. Very smug look on him. Um, and the hair is also sculpted very nicely. This feels very nice. It does kind of get in the way of the neck, but it does have a little bit of a flap back there. So it doesn't get too in the way, but it gets a little in the way, mixing that with the collar. But he also has his torso works very similarly to the old Zoro, not the new one. The post time skip Reino no Nekishima Zoro, where there's this overlay and there's some torso articulation inside. So the overlay does, especially on the upper torso, you're mainly really only going to get a little bit of crunch out of that. But it does look nice. It covers everything up very nicely. I kind of wish they could just put a split there, but I get it. Ooh, yeah, those shoulders are fucking tight. Yeah, these shoulders are tight, and I feel like I'm gonna fucking break them. Oh my goodness. Anyways, his arms are also simple but nicely sculpted. I like the way that they did the cut. Yeah, his arms are fucking tight, and the musculature there looks nice. This sash is always going to be here, so it does kind of look nicer if you have the sword just kind of there. I imagine you could maybe pull this out if you're inclined, but I think it's mushroom pegged in, so I wouldn't try it. The sash, I think, has a little bit of light shading to it, but not much. That, or it just captures the light very well. It looks very nice. I like how it looks. And the pants, once again, fairly simple, have the single-jointed look, but also I really like how they painted like these little gold buttons all along the side. Same with the shirt. They painted the gold buttons, and I always appreciate that those little details get added in. Yeah. Legs here, he does have some nice big clompers. Unfortunately, they are not designed like Luffy's to go up with like the toe or whatever. I imagine because of the way it's strapped, that makes sense probably, but yeah. But his feet are nice and big, so he's going to be able to stand fairly easily despite his honestly large size. He's honestly not that small. He's pretty big, all things considered. But yeah, looking at the back, there he is. Speaking of articulation, the shoulders are able to rotate, or, let's start with the head. Dumbbell up here and dumbbell down there allows you to look down pretty dang far up, not super far, but also just have a ton of tilt and just rotation and whatnot. Shoulders, these are butterflies. They get some decent... They're very similar to Zoro's, actually. Yeah, they're similar as hell to Zoro's, just a little bit more inward. Yeah, they're basically Zoro's, just a little bit more hidden. But while it does look kind of ugly for some people, I appreciate the range that this system gets. It mostly looks ugly doing this. I kind of wish they could come with a more elegant way, but I don't mind too much. It does always look nice. These can also rotate down here because they're on ball joints. There is a bicep swivel right here. As far as articulation goes, it's the same up to the bicep swivel when you have this arm on. Double jointed elbow, but seems to only really get single jointed range, which is a bit unfortunate, but understandable, I guess. Does have a bit of problem going back all the way, though. Yeah, you kind of got to work it a little bit to get it back all the way, so just be aware of that. Hands are on the usual hinge swivel. Torso we went over. There's this, which is on a ball joint, I think, but it's really only a hinge that goes that far. There's a little bit more crunch that you can get out of the bottom ball joint, though. You can crunch back very far, actually. That's actually not half bad. And that gets you some tilt and your swivel. As far as the hips, fairly basic hinging. Goes forward that far, back that far, and goes out, I think, all the way, especially since these are soft, rubbery parts here. There's a thigh swivel, single-jointed knee bend, which looks a little ugly, but gets a decent amount of range. There's a swivel here, right where the pants hit, it looks like a ball joint. It's a bit tight, but there's also a swivel down here. Your usual hinge there. Pretty dang good ankle rocker and toe bend. So, anyways, yeah, that's what Shanks... And also the cape is on a bendy wire. So yeah, that's Shanks. I'm pretty happy with it. I honestly quite like what I'm getting here. It's not going to be like figure of the year material or anything, unfortunately, but I'm glad to have a nice, good Shanks in my collection. But yeah, Let me know what you think of this video. Do all the usual YouTube stuff. Go ahead and subscribe if you want more One Piece figure videos. There should be at least a few more before things get weird because of the current world events. Uh, but yeah, I also just have a large swath of One Piece videos and unboxings. I've covered basically the whole line except for Kaido up to this point. So if you want to see any of those old unboxings, go ahead and check them out. They're all uploaded to the channel. Um, they should all be available in the One Piece playlist. Yeah, if you want more videos like this, don't forget to do the usual liking, commenting to let me know what you think of this video, and let me know if you think I should make more videos like this. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in general. And yeah, I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye-bye!